Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning into the North Main Minute. I'm Joshua Dobie. Unfortunately, one of these items that's really hit our news airwaves here over the last several weeks has to do with the idea of insurance, and specifically what broadly is called property and casualty insurance. What has spurred this conversation, I'm sure you're aware, are the devastating fires in Southern California and the incredible loss of property and homes that have been destroyed in that area. So a lot of conversation has come up about insurance, specifically homeowners insurance, what it is, how it's priced, what it covers, and that's a very important thing to consider. I wish it wasn't because of that, but we see that it often becomes a subject of conversation, not only with things like wildfires, but during storm season, tornadoes, hurricanes, etc., where this becomes a high focus of conversation. And so we just want to touch on a couple of big points when we're thinking about homeowners or broadly property and casualty insurance that we think are just helpful to keep in mind. One, I know it's not very riveting or exciting, but understand what your insurance covers. We have clients who bump into this all the time, where they thought that their insurance covered something in particular, but it didn't. Where we see this happen most often is usually with water-related damage, whether it's a backup of sewers and drains or flood-related kinds of damage, where there isn't often specific coverage for that kind of thing, unless you have that coverage named, or you have a specific policy that covers that kind of coverage. So you want to make sure that you, number one, understand what your policy owns. Two, make sure that you understand what you're buying. Sometimes, and I get it, especially when we're talking about tight budgets, we just sometimes want to look for the least expensive kind of coverage. Folks, very often when it comes to insurance, you get what you pay for. So be mindful that just having the least expensive coverage may not cover the kinds of things that you want or need for it to cover. Often there is a balance. It's different for everybody. I know this is not a blanket statement, but make sure you talk to an insurance broker or an insurance agent who's able to walk you through what exactly you're buying. Is it better to have a lower coverage and less cost associated with it? Maybe, but what you don't want to have happen is you get caught, again, thinking that you had coverage for something when you really don't. Third big item when it comes to insurance coverage, and I touched on it here a little bit, take a look at all of your options. There are a lot of different carriers that are out there. Sometimes it's helpful and healthy to be able to look at different carriers, even periodically. So even though you may not have had a claim or you're not necessarily dissatisfied, make sure you're aware of what's out there so you can compare. Now again, coming back to my second point, cheaper is not necessarily better. It may be, but you want to be mindful that if you go for that less or smaller amount in terms of premium, make sure you understand what, if any, adjustment there may be to your coverage as well. Very, very important. And again, after you need to make a claim, it's too late to make that adjustment. So you want to make sure that you do that ahead of time. If you'd like to reach out to us at North Main Financial Group, perhaps just to talk through your policies, you may not have looked at them in a very long time. We find that very common with clients who just haven't taken a look at it. They pay their premiums, they have their coverage, they don't really think about it sometimes until a claim happens. If you'd like to chat more about that, reach out to us at northmainfinancial.com.